My name is Heath and I'm 40 years old. When we learned that my mom had Huntington's disease, I was 20 years old and I was just heading out the door to go to university. So it was a big shock to our family because we really had no idea that Huntington's was in our family. So, I kind of think about that time as a sort of a new point in my life where my perspective on everything changed a little bit. So right away I started getting involved with the Huntington Society and trying to find out more and try to learn as much as I could about the disease. And I did struggle a little bit at university my first time around, I think in part because it was always kind of weighing in the back of my mind. But as I learned more about the disease and got to be familiar with Huntington Society and the wonderful people, I became more comfortable with with my own skin and the potential of being at risk for the disease. One of the things that maybe gives me a unique perspective is that I've been involved in a lot of different levels. I've been an individual who was at risk with the disease. I have decided to undergo genetic testing. I've been involved in different clinical trials. I have a sibling who's at risk and has decided not to get tested. I've been involved at the chapter level with fundraising and created different events, and as I mentioned, I've been on the board of directors. So I've experienced Huntington's in many different ways over the last 20 years. So I'm hoping that some of the insights I've gleaned over that time can be useful to other people who are struggling to cope or come to terms with their reality. My mother's father had the disease, but he died very young of leukemia. So my mother was the first person in our family where we discovered HD existed. A lot of other diseases affect only certain parts of your physiology. So, for example, they'll affect your movements or your body functions, but your mind will still be intact. Other diseases might cause emotional outbursts and loss of intellect, but leave your physical senses basically as they are. So I think with Huntington's disease, the fact that it affects you physically, emotionally, and cognitively is what makes it one of the most challenging diseases to treat, I think, but also to deal with as somebody who's affected. Well, I think the biggest thing that I would say the Huntington Society has done for us is help us find a sense of community. I don't think that we've really taken advantage of some of the options available through support networks, but really just being involved in your local community and attending meetings and finding so many people across Canada, because I've been from PEI to BC at national national meetings. So I think the biggest thing for us is seeing that there's a lot of other people out there who are dealing with the same things that you are, and you can find strength from one another. Some of the friends I've made through the Huntington Society are going to be friends for life. I will say though, when I was getting my genetic testing done, that some of the processes they have in place now to make sure that you're very comfortable with the decision and that you're well supported throughout that journey was the most, I think, valuable, direct thing that I've been involved with in terms of the service side of what the Huntington Society does. So I felt like well supported, and when I was getting my results, I knew that it was time, and I felt like I was validated through the process with the great people who helped me along the way.